Elm City.
Turn up.
Choice FM. The James Gailliard Show on Choice FM.
Well, hello, everyone. This is James Gailliard. Welcome to the James Gailliard Show. Glad you are all joining today. Listen, we're going to freestyle today and just talk about a little bit of everything, okay? And so let me welcome you to the show and pass this on to someone, share it with someone. Hope you will engage with me kind of as we talk about a few things that I hope will be valuable to all of you that are on the show today. Let me just say good afternoon to my Word Tab family. I'm glad you are all joining and you're all out there. And so let's just jump on in. Let's talk about the fact that let's start with the Olympics. I want to start with the Olympics because, I mean, listen, it's been phenomenal to watch. I'm loving Simone Biles. I'm loving the female gymnasts. I'm loving just, the track and field, all of the things. I am shocked, though, that some of the things that are Olympic sports are Olympic sports. Let me just say that. I'm a little surprised by that. But, you know, hey, we'll just leave that go. But I want to politicize the Olympics just a little bit because Simone Biles is such the GOAT. I mean, it's not even arguable that she is the greatest gymnast of all times, right? But what I thought was interesting is the recent videos that have resurfaced over the years from two Republicans. The first being our Lieutenant Governor, Mark Robinson, who during the year, remember, Simone was supposed to go to Tokyo Olympics. And she did go to the Tokyo Olympics, but really had some real emotional mental health challenges. It was impacting her performance, and she took the high road. And she said, you know what, I need to really work, concentrate, focus on my own mental health. And she did. But what is interesting is that when that happened, both J.D. Vance, who is the vice presidential, on the vice president ticket for President of the United States for Republicans under Donald Trump, and Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson, both of them came for her. So this was really interesting because Mark Robinson literally referred to her as weak, referred to her as a person who quits when the going gets hard, refers to her as someone who spending her life swinging, I'm quoting, swinging on monkey bars so she can win a medal for herself. So a reference about her being selfish. And then when the Olympic Committee and other groups of people jumped out in support of Simone Biles when she needed to have that moment where she just decompressed, they applauded her, and rightfully so. And they said this is exactly why Simone Biles is a hero to so many people. This is exactly why she's so loved and endeared, because she just keeps making these type of great choices. And we applaud her for taking the time out that she needs. And J.D. Vance turned it around and literally said that part of our problem with our society is how we celebrate people for quitting and how we celebrate people for not doing their best, and we celebrate people for not winning. And literally both of them came for Simone Biles. And I just think it's interesting because literally she is the greatest to have ever done it. And so it shows us kind of where we are as a nation. It shows us where we are as a people, that we're kind of just going for people that are doing just great and wonderful things in their lives. And so I wanted to lift that up as a starting point today in our conversation. And so I want to also talk a little bit today about just kind of where we are with the vice president's race. And so I'm going to shift gears and grab another device so I can talk a little bit about some of this to you. But it looks like the Democratic nominee is going to be announced tomorrow. The best I can tell. Right now, Vice President Kamala Harris, and get that right, Kamala, like Kamala. Let's do that together. Comma, like the punctuation mark, Kamala. That's real easy, right? Kamala. Because it just worries me how many people mispronounce her name. I don't know why it worries me so much, because I'm with a name like Gailliard, I'm used to my name always being mispronounced as well. But, we got to do a little bit better with her. So she's going to have her announcement made probably tomorrow. She's supposed to be right here in North Carolina in the Raleigh area on Thursday. But given some of the weather concerns, I'm not exactly sure that she's going to make it in, but I'm hoping so. I haven't heard anything about it being canceled, but we'll see. And so it looks like, as you know, Cooper has bowed out, and it looks as if there's a lot of conversation still lurking around Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro. Y'all you've heard my position on Josh Shapiro in the sense that, he hasn't been a governor long, number one. He is governor, obviously, but he hasn't been governor long. He is very popular in Pennsylvania, and I think part of this is the calculus of having to win some key swing states, and him having the ability to deliver Pennsylvania, which is going to be needed to win the presidential nomination. And so there's discussion about him. There's discussion about the Kentucky governor, Beshear. And I've read an article today about the Minnesota governor, Waltz, I believe it is, former history teacher, really, really a pretty cool guy. I don't like him. I'm surprised that he's bumping up the list. And the reason I say that is because get a little fast fact about me. I lived a summer in Minneapolis and St. Paul in the Twin Cities, and I would go to Prince's Club on the weekends, because that's where Prince was from, and it's a very diverse and a very progressive community. It doesn't really represent what the rest of America looks like. And so I don't know that a governor who has done well there would necessarily do as well with the rest of the country. And I'll give you a real example, and I hope y'all can handle my transparency about this. But as you know, I'm biracial, and I'm going to do a TikTok tomorrow on when I became black, but that's a whole nother situation. And so as you know, I'm biracial, and my parents would always get stared at when we would go places. All through my life, people just found it weird that a black man and a white woman were together. And so they weren't accepting in most environments. And a lot of times we would go places and it would feel a little awkward and a little uncomfortable. And, and so that's kind of how I grew up. And what's interesting about Minneapolis and St. Paul, I remember living there one summer and seeing so much diversity of relationships, like I had never seen before. So much diversity of relationships, and it was just kind of common, So it is like a big draft beer. It's a beautiful environment. It's just not your typical United States place. So I can see why a progressive would do well there, but I just don't know that he would do as well in some other parts of the country. And so I'm going to land on Josh Shapiro. Could be wrong about that, but I'm going to land on Josh Shapiro, and we'll see what happens. I'm still very excited. The vice president's favorability ratings are so high now that I want you to, before President Biden announced that he was not going to run for re-election, he was down 5 points, and he was losing every battleground state. So 5 points nationally, and losing every battleground state. It's been, 2 weeks? 2 weeks, and Kamala Harris is now has a 1 point advantage on the polling nationally, and they are tied in every battleground state. So you're talking about a major reversal. If I'm Donald Trump and the Republicans, I'm very, very nervous. Throwing threats and insinuations and lies and all of that against her is just not going to stick. Hey, y'all, this is James Gailliard, and you're watching the James Gailliard Show right here on Choice 92.1 FM. It's the People Station. This is where every Monday from 5 to 6, we talk about politics, we talk about religion, we talk about the economic situation. I want to say something about that. We talk about sports and all of the things that we think will make people's lives better. The whole premise of the show is real simple. The premise of the show is that we are not going to entertain ourselves to a better life. We're going to have to educate ourselves to a better life. And so that's the premise of the show. Today, I'm just kind of bringing us up to speed on what's going on with Kamala Harris, shouting out our Olympians. I have to tell you, I'm a Sha'Carri Richardson fan. I was hoping she would have won gold on that first run. She didn't. She came in silver, which I still think is great for our first Olympics. I still love her personality. I love that she walks authentically in terms of who she is, and I'm still a fan. And so really, really interesting to watch some of these dynamics. I love to talk in future shows about some of the controversial elements of the Olympics. I just mentioned economics. I want to park here for just a moment. Let me say one more thing before I get to economics. So Saturday, I conducted my monthly men's roundtable. And I had some local people like Kevin Jones with us, and we had Black Futures Lab there, and then we had, of course, the men of our congregation. And we always have a different subject every month when we gather. But I wanted to conduct an issues forum. Like, I was curious, and this is where your first question of the day comes in. So I was curious, and I was like, well, what are the issues that impact you the most? So I had sheets at everybody's table, and they could check off their top issues, right? And they were like probably 20 issues on the sheet. And so what the men had to do was they had to all identify their top 5 issues. And then as a team, as a table, in a democratic process, they had to agree on what the top 3 issues were. And then they had to agree on a single issue. Like, if you could only vote based on this one issue, what would it be? The reason I wanted to do it is because I've been looking at all this polling. All of the polling that I'm seeing keeps raising up immigration as a top issue. It raises up abortion as a top issue, and it raises up LGBTQ plus issues as a top issue. Interestingly enough, at the men's roundtable, none of those 3 issues surfaced. Now, mind you, it's a men's roundtable, but none of those 3 issues surfaced as a top issue. The number one thing that kept coming up is cost of living, inflation, economy. That came up number one. Let me just say this before I give you the others. And my question to you is, what would come up number one for you? I don't have the list in front of me, but let me say some things that are on the list. Immigration, abortion, LGBTQ plus, civil rights, or democracy. That all goes in together. Democracy, healthcare, education, national security, government spending or federal spending, I said public education, guns and violence, jobs in the economy. And so what comes up front of mind for you? If you could only vote based upon a singular platform issue, you had Kamala Harris and you have Donald Trump, and you're like, listen, whoever has the best policy on this one issue is who I'm going to vote for. What would the one issue be for you? What would the one issue be for you? I'm going to tell you mine near the end of the show, but I want to know what would be the one issue for you. I'm going to check all your postings when I take my break in a few minutes. But so that's what we talked about, and it was interesting to me that I want us to understand that voters of any gender or any race or any geographic area are not monolithic. Like, a lot of times we think the issues only land in a singular place, but that's not true. There are lots of things that matter, lots of things that cause people to be engaged, and so I thought it was interesting that all this national polling is out there, and here are men in Rocky Mount, Wilson, Tarboro at the round table, and they're like, I don't really care about nothing immigration related. Like, I have to be honest, I think if I lived in a border state, I might care more. Maybe. Don't know that I would then. But like immigration, like I don't really care, quite frankly. This is just James Gailliard talking. Like I do believe in some serious immigration reform, and we do need some reform. Let me be very clear. But I'm not seeing evidence that anything going on relative to immigration is negatively impacting my life, the life of my family, life of my children. I don't see that. And so it's not something that's like front of center for me. And so, I just think it's really, really interesting, that polling is not necessary. So let me tell you what I suspect. I'm going to get in trouble because I have people from all different walks of life that listen to the James Gailliard show. I don't know that I trust the pollsters. Like, as a matter of fact, I know that I don't trust them. This is inherently what I believe about polling. I believe they make the numbers to be whatever they want them to be. And whatever they want to promote as the premier issue, they will claim that that's what the polls are saying. So I just literally do not trust the pollsters. Like, I just think if they want you to believe that the big issue is immigration, somebody's going to come up with some poll and some group of people to have some conversation about that's going to say, we care about immigration. Like, I really believe that's what's happening. And so I think they're getting people riled up over issues that people don't care about. I'll tell you what people do care about is, can I still afford a gallon of milk for my child? I think they care about that. They care about the fact that, I don't know that I can afford a house in this economy. I think they care about that. I think they care about the fact that I'm scared to go to the doctor because if I go to the doctor, my co-insurance and my deductible is going to wipe me out. I think they care about that. I think they care about the fact that they're scared to send their child to an underfunded public school because of all the violence and the lack of support service. I think they care about that. I don't think they care about somebody came across the border because they are fleeing for a better life because they're also trying to get a shot for their son or daughter the same way that I'm trying to get a shot for my son or daughter. I just don't think that's what they care about. So let me say this. So one of the issues that surfaced high was this issue of the economy. And I want to just say this, y'all. I was talking to my staff today. Every Monday we have a staff meeting, and this has just really been on my heart really heavily. I've been praying about it, been asking God to just kind of give me some clarity about it. I'm meddling a little bit when I say this to all of you, but hear my heart for a moment. I think many people are doing really well. I see evidence of that. People are going on vacations, spending a week in fancy places and staying at nice hotels and laying out on the beach. And, I'm seeing all of these, just all this, nice clothes and cars and all of that. Listen, family, the bottom is going to fall out. There is going to be some kind of recession eventually. And when it hits, it's not going to give a warning. It's going to just come for us. And so I just want to encourage everyone who's listening to my show, anyone that is listening to the things we talk about week after week. Listen, there is no peace. There is no joy. There is no exhaling when we are barely able to make it financially. And I just want to encourage you, anyone who's listening to the show today, is to really work hard to live beneath your means. Really work hard to live beneath the level of your earning potential, your earning. You know my formula. Like, I really believe everyone needs to live at not more than 70% of their take-home income. So after all your taxes have been paid, I think you should be able to live on 70% of what that money is. So if you clear, I don't know, I'll just make it simple, $1,000 a month, then you got to find a way to live on $700 a month. And I just want to encourage people to be prayerful and thoughtful about that, because I'm concerned that the time is going to come in the next 6 months where the income is not going to be flowing, where things are going to be out of reach financially, and something is going to happen and you're not going to be able to figure it out. And so I want to encourage you, every time you make, my grandmama would say, everything started with a darling, with her. Darling, every time you make $1, throw a dime behind your back. That's what my grandmother would say. Throw a dime behind your back. That was her way of saying, put it somewhere where you won't touch it. You know, and I believe we should put a dime behind our back, which is like long-term savings. We need to throw another dime every time we make a dollar in our short-term savings. We need to throw another dime to God, because without him, none of this would be possible. We wouldn't have a dime. We wouldn't have a dollar. And then I live on the other 70%. And I'm sure there are other formulas that are a little bit different. But the bottom line is, what I don't want to have happen is that I make $1,000 and I spend $1,001. Because here's the thing. If it doesn't matter how much money you make or I make if we spend more than what we make. And so I just want to really encourage people to really try hard, because I just sense in my spirit, and you know what happens in the black community, and the large portion of my show on Choice 92.1 FM is to the black community. You know that in the black community, when everybody else catches a cold, we get pneumonia. Like, we know this about us. And so while everybody else has a little nest egg and they're able to make it, and listen to me, if you run a nonprofit, if you run a business, you have to have some money in escrow ready that you can pull on if you have to. What's going to happen if in your business if your sales drop by 30% immediately? Can you still pay all the bills you have to pay? Do you have enough money squirreled aside that you can do that? What's going to happen in a church if the offering drops 30%? What's going to happen in your nonprofit if somebody's grant? See, and I want you to understand something about, like, with nonprofits that rely on grants a lot, right now the stock market is doing great. Like, I checked this before I came out. So I have a long-term investment portfolio, and my year-to-date return on it is like 6.95%. So it's not bad, right? Like, I'm getting... So the reason that matters is because if I had that same exact portfolio that I have now, and it was a foundation, and I earned 6.95% on it, which is what I've done so far this year, by law, if I had a foundation, I would have to give away 5% of that money. Well, you know, if I'm giving away 5%, but I'm earning 6.95%, that even though I gave you money, I'm still 1.95% more money than I had before I gave you the grant. Right? So that's why a lot of times you can get this grant money and it's like looking good, because in essence, because of their investment portfolio, they've given you $10,000 or $100,000, but they have a little bit more money in the bank because they've been investing it. Well, what happens when their portfolio does a minus 12% or minus 8%? Now, all of a sudden, they have less money to be able to provide by way of grants. And it winds up having a negative impact upon the nonprofits that rely on them. So all I'm trying to get you to say is, please, please, please put some money aside. Save some money, because the economy is going to tank. It'll recover, but you want to live long enough and survive it so it can recover. Like, the worst thing I want to do is go under when it goes under. I want to be able to survive it. So I got a lot of show to share with you. This is James Gailliard. You're listening, watching the James Gailliard Show. Tune in, share this with somebody else. I'm going to take a quick commercial break, pay a few bills. We'll be right back.
The James Gailliard Show on Choice FM.
Have you been injured in an auto accident or injured on the job? I'm Nicole Cotton with the Cotton Law Firm. Choose the Cotton Law Firm. We'll use our 15 years of experience to get you the results you deserve.
Pick Cotton at cottonlawfirm.com.
We're no softies.
Locations in Fayetteville, Durham, now in Rocky Mount. Serving injured parties in all 100 counties of North Carolina. Cottonlawfirm.com. That's cottonlawfirm.com. Hablamos Español.
2024 HBCU graduate, Rising HBCU Junior. You can earn a $6,500 educational award towards tuition and earn a monthly paid stipend for public service. Saturday, August 17th at the Arts Conference Center in Knightdale. Take part in a paid focus group to earn money and help your HBCU. Give your perspectives and learn about national service organizations and fellowship opportunities. Network with recent grads and students. Help HBCU sustainability. Find out about $6,500 worth of educational awards toward tuition. Register today. Go to I Love Choice FM on Facebook and IG or ilovechoicefm.com. Upcoming event 2024 HBCU graduates, Rising HBCU Junior. You can earn a $6,500 educational award towards tuition and earn a monthly paid stipend.
Savings. Now that's speaking the Lowe's language. And when you join My Lowe's Rewards for free, the savings just keep coming. Save money with member-only offers, plus earn points when you shop. More points equal more rewards, just for you. Because Lowe's knows you earned it, literally. Learn more about our loyalty program at lowes.com/MyLowe'sRewards and become a member for free today. Program subject to terms and conditions. Points are awarded on eligible purchases. See Lowe's.com/terms for full details. Subject to change.
AURN News.
I'm Jamie Jackson. We continue to feel the effects of inflation hitting our wallets, it seems like, almost every day. However, the U.S. economy continues to maintain its strong momentum, with gross domestic product expanding at an annual rate of 2.8%. That's according to data released last Thursday by Department of Commerce. Now, the Bureau of Labor Statistics report highlights increased consumer spending, private inventory investment, and non-residential fixed investment as primary drivers of that growth. Consumer spending saw upticks in both services and goods, with notable contributions from healthcare, housing and utilities, and recreation services. The goods category was bolstered by increased spending on motor vehicles and parts, recreational goods, home furnishings, and energy products. For AURN News, I'm Jamie Jackson.
The People Station, Choice FM 92.1, extremely cold, and I'm kicking it with Queen, Cousin Kira.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. Thank you for coming in. We have listeners with great credit who still are looking for cars. They don't know what they want. What should they do, good credit or bad credit?
They gotta call me first, because the problem is dealerships are known for being dishonest. And when you need an honest answer before you sign a dotted line and you have that small print that nobody reads, you need to understand what this looks like. So any dealership anyone goes to, regardless of credit, they only have to sell you a car that is safe. It has to pass a safety inspection. The Carfax, the information that you get stuck with for the next, 6 years of a loan, they don't care, but I actually do. So I want them to call me so we can give them the good answers, the good information. They make an educated decision and they get a fair deal.
Cousin Kira, make sure you give us the number so everyone can reach you. Give us the website too.
919-275-5372, and that spells out Ask Kira. And then you can go to www.askcousinkira.com.
AskCousinKira.com. Make sure you let her know the People Station sent you.
The James Gailliard Show on Choice FM.
Hey, family. Welcome back. This is James Gailliard. Welcome to the James Gailliard Show. Looking at some of your comments, we spent the last few minutes of our segment talking about finances. I think it's something that we have to talk a little bit more about. And so grateful and appreciate all of your feedback that you're sharing. So happy week 33, happy 91 days until Election Day, which is Tuesday, November 5th. I conducted an all-male voter issues survey last Saturday. And what would be your number one issue? LGBTQ issues, immigration, abortion. Spoiler alert, none of that showed up on our survey. None of the men said those are the most important things. Housing, race relations, healthcare costs, civil liberties, civil rights, threats to democracy, the economy, cost of living, the environment. What is your number one issue? I'd be curious to know. All right, so listen, let me go ahead and ruffle up a little feathers. This segment, I want to talk about Trump and black people, okay? My son, Matthew, sends me a TikTok video about this chick from Atlanta who went to Clark University. She's breaking my heart. And she was at the Trump rally, and she was saying all this stuff about, positive to Trump. And his campaign is so good by finding, first of all, don't be all blown away by that propaganda. Let me explain to you why. Let me ask you a question. If a person came to a rally with Kamala, and it was a man, I'm going to start there because I'm at a point I'm proving, and the man had great things to say about her, would it surprise you? Would it be newsworthy? No, it would not be, because she can line up 100,000 men to say something good about her. If she got a white man or a white woman to say something, would it be newsworthy? Would it be newsworthy? No, it would not. The reason it would not be newsworthy is because you can line up people around North Carolina that don't look like her, that support her. The only reason Trump and black people ever make the news is because this group is such an outlier. Like, they have to go find them. They got to grow them somewhere. It takes time for them to grow and pop up out the soil, and then they've got to get them on stage. This is an outlier group. So this propaganda around all these black people voting for Trump, not true, okay? Let me say a few things about his meaning Trump's record regarding people of color. And I could go, Trump's public record regarding people of color goes back to 1973. In 1973, now let me tell you why this is a big deal. Do you know who President of the United States was in 1973? Nixon. Under the Nixon, a Republican, under the Nixon administration, the Department of Justice sued Trump's management corporation for violating the Fair Housing Act. I'm talking about federal officials. They found evidence that Donald Trump refused to rent to black tenants. They also found evidence that he lied to black applicants about whether or not apartments were even available. And so now Trump claims that the federal government was trying to get him to rent to welfare recipients. But in the aftermath, he signs an agreement in 1975, and this is the agreement. I will not discriminate to renters of color without admitting to previous discrimination. So that's 1973. 1980, an employee of Trump Castle accused him of business discrimination. So Donald and Ivana Trump come to the casino. This is what the employee says, that all of the black people were ordered off the floor of the casino whenever he came to the casino. They all got put in the back rooms. 1989, y'all remember 1989? The Central Park Five? The Central Park Five literally, they literally refer to this as a modern day lynching. 4 black teenagers and a Latino teenager, we call them the Central Park Five, accused of attacking and raping a jogger in New York City. Trump takes out a full-page ad. He takes out a full-page ad in local papers saying, bring back the death penalty, bring back our police, right? The people, they do somewhere between 7 and 13 years in prison. They wind up being paid $41 million in a settlement. And when he was running for president in 2016, said, I still believe they're guilty, even though the DNA evidence said they weren't. Okay, 1991, I got a whole nother scenario. I'm talking about, if you just tuning in to James Gailliard Show, I'm talking about Donald Trump and black people. A book by John O'Donnell, former president of Trump Plaza Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City, quoted Trump's criticism of a black accountant. Are you ready? This is Trump on black accountants. Black guys counting my money, I hate it. The only kind of people I want counting my money are short guys that wear yarmulkes. I think these other guys are lazy. And it's probably not his fault, because laziness, listen to this, laziness is a trait of blacks. This is what he says, it's not anything they can control. 1992, Trump Plaza Hotel and Casino had to pay $200,000 fine because it transferred black and women dealers off of tables to accommodate other gamblers' prejudices. 1993, congressional testimony, Trump says that Native American reservations operating casinos shouldn't be allowed because, quote unquote, they don't look like Indians to me. Now, let me tell you why this matters. Do you remember the recent conversation about him talking about, well, first Kamala said, she was Indian, now she's black. When did she become black? Do you see that this is an ongoing characteristic of this man? So when you see the propaganda where they find a black person, slap a Trump, Blacks for Trump sign or T-shirt on them, this is the takeaway I want you to get. Why is it that this is newsworthy? And it is only newsworthy because this is a demographic that just does not support him. 2000, in opposition to casino, and he was opposing a casino proposed by the Mohawk tribe, which he saw as a financial threat to his casinos in Atlantic City. So Trump ran a series of ads, secret ads. He didn't own the fact that they were from him, suggesting that the tribe had, quote, a record of criminal activity that is well documented. People forget about this, but 2005, Trump publicly pitched a special edition of The Apprentice called White People versus Black People. I mean, there is an ongoing, I could go on and on. I don't want to take up my whole show on this, but I want to go, on and on. Trump, in 2011, played a big role in pushing rumors that Obama, who was, as you know, our first country's black president, was not born in the United States, right? Trump claims to have sent investigators to Hawaii to, quote unquote, look into Obama's birth certificate. And then, so that's just on the political side. Let me just say something about as president. So, because I want you to see that this man's posture regarding people of color has never changed. It is not positive. During his 2020, during the first 2020 presidential debate, Chris Wallace asked Trump, why did you end racial sensitivity training? And do you believe there is systemic racism in this country? Because remember, under the Trump administration, implicit bias training was removed. It was no longer a requirement. This is what Trump said. I ended it because it's racist. Listen to this foolishness. I stopped racial sensitivity training because it's racist. I stopped implicit bias training because it's racist. A lot of people were complaining. What people might that be? They were asked to do things that were absolutely insane, that it was a radical revolution. They were teaching people to hate our country. Yo, Trump's statements are ironic. I want you to hear this. This is all data. Trump would make statements that were racist related, and wherever he held large campaign rallies, you're not even ready. You're not even ready. Y'all not ready. You're not ready. You're not ready. Hate crimes increased by 200% in places that he had large rallies. Hate crimes increased by 200%. So you see some little chick from Clark University, Atlanta, who gets her 30 seconds in the limelight, and all we can do is pray for her. So let's talk about the economy as it relates to Trump. If you're just tuning in, this is James Gailliard. You're listening, watching the James Gailliard Show. We were just talking about a little bit about Kamala, a little bit about the Olympics, a little bit about the issue that matters to you most, a little bit about economy and saving money. Now I'm talking about blacks and Trump. First of all, Trump is quick to tell you I'm the best thing that's ever happened to black people since Abraham Lincoln. And he's quick to talk about how the black unemployment rate went to an all-time low when he was president, February of 2020. Now, I need you to hear that. Right? February 2020, we had an all-time low. But this is what people need to understand. Part of the reason it went to an all-time low is because the black unemployment rate under the Obama-Biden administration had one of the largest declines in American history. So he gets handed this bustling economy. But what he doesn't tell you is that, yes, more black people are working, but they're also working at a higher clip, a higher rate of jobs that don't pay a livable wage. So, yeah, I'm going to give him his credit. Yeah, under his administration, we have the lowest black unemployment, but we also have one of the, I need you to hear this, because this is the side. Pay attention to what's said and what's not said. We have one of the highest black unemployment rates of all time under his administration. But what about the underemployment rate? Did y'all catch that? Yes, the unemployment rate was low. It was low, number one, because he got handed a great economy from President Barack Obama. But for many of the jobs that got created under his administration, it forced people into poverty. They were not making livable wages, so you had people that were underemployed. So in regard to implicit bias, bad for black people, the economy, bad for black people, let's talk about judges and courts. probably if there's going to be a legacy to Donald Trump, it's going to be federal judge selection, Supreme Court nominations. We're already seeing how we're being damaged with the Supreme Court, right? But I think the demographics of the judges are important. Trump has appointed the most appeals court judges since Jimmy Carter. I need you to hear me. He appointed the most appeals court judges since Jimmy Carter. Drum roll, please. How many are black? None. They put everybody in the category of either non-white or people of color. And people of color is code language for no white people and no black people. When you see people of color, it is because they're putting every other ethnic group, Asians, whatever other group they can come up with, they're putting the Latinos, they're putting everybody in people of color as a way of thinking, oh, he's looking out for black folk. But then when you go through the list of people of color, a goose egg for black people. So people, listen, here's the bottom line. Donald Trump has a long history of racism. So don't get caught up in all of the optics in thinking that Donald Trump is friendly to black people, because he is not. And some of you may not like this, but that's all right. While we're on Donald Trump, let me just keep talking about Donald Trump. I need to look at your comments in a minute. Let me just say this. I don't know if we got a chance to talk about this on the last show, but Trump he's at a rally, and while he's at a rally, he makes statements that, you know, he claims he makes the statements because Christians are not part of a big voting group. And then he says to them, literally, this time vote, I'll straighten out the country, you won't have to vote anymore. And he literally got asked to drill down on what he meant by that. He refused to answer directly. And so the bottom line is that, you know, Donald Trump is letting us know exactly who he is and what he's going to do. And he claims it's because Christians do not vote well. They vote in very small percentages. He's like, why? I don't know. Maybe they're disappointed in things that are happening. I don't know. And Trump said, I say you don't vote. I'm saying go out. You must vote. But I said to the Christians in the room, thousands of them, I said, typically Christians do not vote. He says, don't worry about the future, he continued. You have to vote on November 5th. After that, you don't have to worry about voting anymore. I don't care, because we're going to fix it. The country will be fixed. We won't even need your vote anymore, because frankly, we will have such love. So, folks, pay attention to what's being said. Don't get caught up in the rhetoric and the dynamics of, you know, I'm bothered by, let me just say something. Why I'm talking about race, because I'm talking about blacks and Trump. And so people are going to be out there mad at me. So let me just say this. For all of the people who say, why do you have to bring up race? Why is race even a part of this conversation? This is what I'm going to say. For 450 years, race was a part of the conversation. So you're fine with race being a part of the conversation as long as the race conversation benefits you. But the moment the race conversation no longer benefits you, you want to now take the race conversation off the table. It doesn't work that way. Because when ancestors were in slavery because they were black, the race conversation worked just fine for you, didn't it? When we had to go through Jim Crow, when Black Wall Street was decimated all over the nation, it was Black Wall Street. That race conversation went well. Why are you playing the race card? All of a sudden, let me just say this. Black people are not playing the race card. It is white people that have played the race card for generations. And they were fine playing the race card as long as they could win playing the race card. Now you can't win playing the race card, and you don't want anybody playing the race card. But you've been winning at the poker table for 400, 500 years because everybody played the race card. Now, all of a sudden, we can't have a conversation about blacks and Trump. We can't have a conversation about the first woman of color, presidential nominee. Now we can't have the conversation. We had the conversation about race for hundreds of years. Every president. Can we name them? I wish I had my list from when I grew up in elementary school. But up until Barack Obama, we played the race card on every presidential race. and the card always came out white. Now, one time, the card is a black president, and all of a sudden it's race. So I'm sick of that conversation because, I'm not voting for Kamala because she black, a woman of color. I'm no more than I voted for Barack because he was a person of color. Or what? Do you think I voted for Bush or Roy Cooper? Let's use Roy. You think I voted for Roy Cooper because he was white? Or because his policies worked the best for me and my family? And so it's so offensive to me. You know what it's like, y'all? Let me tell you what it's like. It's like, and this happens to me all the time. You go to like some political event, some corporate event. You go to some fundraiser. You go to a black tie event. And let's say you get there, right? And I don't know, it's 300 people there. But you get there, it's 300 people there, and it's 20 black people. Inevitably, the black people find each other, right? So now it's a table of 3 or 4 of y'all sitting at the table, black folk talking. Or 3 of y'all standing around having a glass of wine together talking. It's easy for white people to look at us and like, why are y'all all together? Meanwhile, it's another 280 white people in the room, and all of them are together. So, like, nobody thinks twice about the fact that they congregate together because of race. But is it because of race or is it because of affinity? Is it because we're comfortable with each other? So I'm sick of these, like, dual standards. One of the things, I grew up playing spades. One of my spades player out there. One of the things you have to do before you even deal the hand, you have to agree on the rules. Because people got different rules when it comes to spades. For some people, the deuce is high. For some people, it's low. It's different for folk. So you got to lay that thing out and say, okay, these are the rules we're playing by. That's what I'm talking about relative to politics and elections. There has to be a dismissal. We have to stop changing rules because there's a population of people that are no longer winning under those rules. We see it in so many sports. We see it in so many things. Things change because all of a sudden people of color start winning. And so I just want to deal with that whole issue of black folk and Trump because I don't see how you justify it. I just don't see it. And I'm going to talk about the economic side of things. I'm going to get into all of that. But when a person spends their lifetime being very clear about where they are racially, when they spend their lifetime not earning, this man doesn't pay subcontractors. This man has such a horrible reputation. And then when he finally owes so many people that he can't justify financially, doesn't know what to do, you know what he does? Files bankruptcy. And now all of a sudden, those people are all on the hook. Small business owners, people that are trying to send their children through college, trying to have a decent shot at the American dream. That's what we're dealing with. And so I just want to throw that thing out, y'all. It's, let me shift gears. This is James Gailliard. You are watching, listening to the James Gailliard Show. She's the best candidate as long as it benefits them. Don't need to vote anymore because he has plans to be a dictator and king. Yep, race is part of the conversation, even when they don't say it. It is so true. Even here in D.C., he did not have us in his administration. Thank you for that, LaTanya. It's just a reality of it. So he was riding the coattails of the previous administration. People don't recognize that. When I bring in a guest preacher at Word Tabernacle Church, right, or I have somebody preach for me when I'm not here, it's already thousands of people here. And so, to say, people only came to that church because you were preaching, well, it was already people there. That's how presidential administrations work. When they take over on day one, they are riding whatever wave, good or bad, came from the previous administration. And I'm going to get into a whole conversation in another show about Barack Obama and the pluses and minuses and how he benefited or didn't benefit the black community. Listen, let me shift gears, lay him out first else. You're right. It's not about race because Mark Robinson sure isn't getting my vote. It's not about race because clearly the better fit and she's more qualified. You know, it's funny you should mention that, Alonzo, because when Mark Robinson makes statements like, there's no racism in America, because if there was racism in North Carolina, how could a guy like me eventually become governor, lieutenant governor? Well, sir, the fact that you lift up yourself as the example and you're the only person it's ever happened to immediately tells you that there is a systemic issue. If you want proof that there is no racism in North Carolina, we get to prove it in November of 2024, because you have Jessica Holmes, a black female, for a state auditor on the ballot. You have Braxton on the ballot for a labor commissioner. We have people of color on the ballot that we can vote. We've got people like Carolyn Thompson for appellate court. And so we have an opportunity to prove that racism is really not the issue it used to be in North Carolina. But when Mark Robinson says there's no racism because I got to the top, that's crazy. I mean, that is literally crazy. You know, if 100 planes take off behind each other and 99 of them crash and one gets to the destination, do you think the pilot that's getting to the destination says planes don't crash? I mean, that's in essence what Mark Robinson's saying. Nobody else could do it. I was the only one who could do it, but there's no problem. No, there is a problem. There is a systemic institutional problem. But if we vote, and I'm going to show you later on, getting into the summer, end of the summer, getting into the fall, I'm going to show you exactly what those numbers need to look like. Let me remind you that there are 15 judges of the North Carolina Court of Appeals. And I want you to understand the value, and I need to take a break in just a second, but y'all, I want us paying attention to, I'm going to spend a lot of time on national politics, but I'm going to spend a lot more time on local and state politics. I want us to understand the governor, the lieutenant governor, auditor, attorney general, secretary of state, treasurer, superintendent of public instruction, labor commissioner, insurance commissioner, ag commissioner, every state senate, every state representative, and every U.S. representative from North Carolina are all on the ballots, right? And I want to focus for just a hot minute on judicial races. Our courts matter. Our courts matter. When I come back, I'm going to tell you why they matter and how the Republican Party back in 2004 shifts the way that judges got elected. See, we think about Project 2025 as if this is some brand new document. Elements of Project 2025 have been in the workings. That's why you have the American Legislative Exchange Council, ALEC. It is a whole think tank to promote same legislation across Republican, far-right, evangelical, conservative parties, so that elements, it's just now Project 2025 is getting the light of day. People are paying attention to it, but they've been in motion for a while, which is why we got to vote. All right, y'all, I'm about to come up on my time. This is James Gailliard. You're watching, listening to James Gailliard Show. I'm going to look at your comments. I'm going to pay a few bills. I'll come back with the same final thing for you. I'll be right back.
The James Gailliard Show on Choice FM. North State Banks, The Breakfast Club.
So Offset and alleged ex spotted at casino. So last night, a blog shared a video of Offset alongside a woman people claim to be his ex. Her name is Pretty Reds. This immediately led to people online saying that he was cheating. We know his past and all of that type of stuff. Offset, he hopped on IG Live to give a brief response to people accusing him of stepping out on his wife, and this is what he said is rather short.
Shorty? Hey, about Shorty.
That sounds like a hook. That sounds like a new hook he writing.
I swear.
Shorty ain't my shorty. Mm-hmm. Shorty ain't my shorty.
Hey.
Shorty ain't my shorty.
That's a nice little hook, though, y'all. Shorty ain't my shorty.
That's all set. Shorty ain't my shorty.
Mama, shorty ain't my shorty. Hey, that's it. That's it. That's it
that
right
be
there.
It. That's it. Summer anthem. Let's go.
NorthStateBank.com. First-time homebuyers. Our passion is helping you realize your dream. Apply online at NorthStateBank.com or call 919-614-9178. North State Bank. Better every day.
2024 HBCU graduate, Rising HBCU Junior. You can earn a $6,500 educational award towards tuition and earn a monthly paid stipend for public service. Saturday, August 17th at the Arts Conference Center in Nightdale. Take part in a paid focus group to earn money and help your HBCU. Give your perspectives and learn about national service organizations and fellowship opportunities. Network with recent grads and students. Help HBCU sustainability. Find out about $6,500 worth of educational awards towards tuition. Register today. Go to I Love Choice FM on Facebook and IG or ilovechoicefm.com. Upcoming event 2024 HBCU graduate, Rising HBCU Junior. You can earn a $6,500 educational award towards tuition and earn a monthly paid stipend.
Do you own an annuity, either fixed rate, indexed, or variable? Are you paying high fees and getting low returns? If so, Annuity General would like you to have this free book to learn the pitfalls and mistakes of buying an annuity. The Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers contains the little-known truths about annuities, like how to help reduce your fees and increase retirement income. And it's free. That's right, free. As a bonus, we'll also throw in a free annuity rate report just for calling. We researched over 1,000 annuities and summarized rates and benefits from financially strong insurers. You get Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers and the Annuity Rate Report, both absolutely free for calling Annuity General today. Hurry, supplies are limited. Call now.
800-837-3217. 800-837-3217. 800-837-3217. That's 800-837-3217.
The James Gailliard Show on Choice FM.
This hour goes by so quick, y'all. Welcome back. I'm James Gailliard. Was listening and reading some of your comments. I appreciate all of the engagement today. We spent some time talking a little bit about the Olympics. I'm going to spend a little bit more time next Monday talking some more about the Olympics because they'll have wound up by then. But shout out to all of the medalists, even all the people that competed. We talked a little bit about Kamala and how she is really trending well as a result of just the money she's raising and just how well she's doing as a candidate. It's just remarkable to watch. And so I'm happy for her. I celebrate her. I think the momentum certainly is going to have to continue, but she's just doing a great job. And so I wanted to wind up today just reminding you of all the other races that are on the ballot here in North Carolina. I'm going to do some math over the next week and talk about the areas around us, the counties. I know my show is on a lot of counties here on Choice 92.1 FM, but I want to talk of some specifics around the East especially. Let me just end up with judges. We have 15 judges that on North Carolina Court of Appeals, they are, and this is what I want you to hear, they are chosen through partisan elections. We vote our judges Democrat, Republican. Now, that was not always the case. Republicans changed it. This is my question to you. You want reasons why you should be leery of voting Republican. I'm going to give you one right now. And y'all be clear. Like, I take a huge risk doing this show. I pastor a very large congregation. It is a diverse congregation, the social economics of my congregation, even the demographics of Word Tabernacle. And I'm a purist in terms of the Bible preaching. I'm an expository preacher, so I get up on Sundays and I'm just breaking down the scriptures. But I come out on Mondays to do this show because I believe that people need to be educated. I believe that we've got to challenge the status quo, and we've got to talk about these really difficult issues. So let's talk about judges. Here's my question to my audience. If you or a child of yours or a friend, someone you loved, were to go in front of a judge, would you want to be treated differently if you were not of the same political party as that judge? Would you want that judge to treat you differently? Let's say the judge was a Republican. Would you want them to treat you different because you were a Democrat? And I think I know the answer all of you would give. Up through these elections were nonpartisan from 2004 until 2016, when the Republican General Assembly passed laws in 2016 that beginning in 2018, they would be partisan again. There was a time that the way judicial races were funded was different in terms of the campaigns, and that they were nonpartisan. I'm a believer that our judicial races should be nonpartisan again. We are all people we love are gonna have to stand before a judge. We need nonpartisan judges, and I want you to pay careful attention to the North Carolina Court of Appeals, the state Supreme Court, whatever races you see on the ballot that are judicial in nature. I want you paying attention to them. I'm going to talk about those races in great detail over the next 6 or 8 weeks, but I want you being mindful of all of those races, okay? And so remember, governor, lieutenant governor, auditor, all the way down to our local races on this next ballot. It is so important that we vote. I'm James Gailliard. This is the James Gailliard Show. It would be helpful to me because I want to speak to things that matter to you. I don't want to get up here and rail over things that I'm just emotional about and passionate about, even though I try to give you all of the data to back up everything I say. I want to know what matters to you. And so would you type in before you get off today, hey, Pastor G, would you talk about this? Would you add this to the things that you're going to deal with? I want to touch on whatever areas you want me to touch on. Religion, politics, sports, news, culture, all the things right here on the James Gailliard Show, because we cannot entertain ourselves to a better life. We have to educate ourselves to a better life. I'm out of clock, but I'm not out of content. I'm out of time, but I'm not out of talk. This is James Gailliard. Thank you for watching. Share this with someone. I'll see you next Monday at 5 o'clock.
James Gailliard Show on Choice FM.
This is
WRSV, Elm City.
Turn Up.
Choice FM.